The Board of Appeal for December 19th is in session. Last meeting for this year, so we hope to see you again in the next year. Just a reminder, make sure your cell phones are off, and if you have any conversations, please take them outside of the room. If you're here to speak in support or in opposition to the project, please put your name and address on the record and tell us what your support or opposition is based on. We are interested in hearing the case on a zoning basis. So if you're an attorney, if you're representing yourself, or you're speaking, please speak to the zoning issues, because that is what we are interested in. And we're also interested in everybody giving us new information. So if somebody has already stated what your concern is, just put your name and address on the record. In conformance with the open meeting law, this is just a reminder that this meeting is being live streamed. Mr. Fortune?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First order of business, the approval of the hearing minutes. Madam Chair, we're going to take these up in the year 2018 in January.
Excellent.
So we will call the first case. It's an extension. Calling BZC 32903, 188 High Street.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I recuse myself from this vote.
For the record, sir.
My name is Fred Mannix. Address is 188 North Street, Boston, Mass.
So please tell us why you're requesting an extension.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we're requesting an extension because we are currently, this matter is in litigation in land court over a title matter. So I just wanted for the record that we're in that position.
Okay. And our general rule is to extend for 1 year.
Yes.
May I have a motion?
Make a motion for an extension for 1 year.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you.
I'm going to call the 9:30 hearings. Are there any deferrals or withdrawals for 9:30? Madam Chair, we do have one case, case BOA 778-978, 88 to 94 Lincoln Street. We have a letter from counsel in withdrawing, so I'll make a motion for denial without prejudice.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. I'm also being informed by counsel, case BOA 777-535, 15 Gilmore Street is also being withdrawn. So I make a motion for denial without prejudice.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
First case.
Motion carries.
Okay, Twister Allen Road. Calling the first case of the 9:30s. Calling BOA 771-127, 3 Allen Road. Bear with me here. This is a change order from a one-family dwelling to a two-family dwelling. No work to be done in the existing, no work to be done in the existing condition for many years. Violation of Article 51, Section 9, a two-family is forbidden use in a 1F 5,000 subdistrict. Article 51, Section 56, off-street parking. No off-street parking provided for the proposed second unit. Name and address for the record, please.
Hector Garcia, 3 Allen Road, Brighton, Mass.
Tell us what you are proposing.
I have a basement unit that has all the egresses and everything. I'm proposing to make the house into a two-family. I have plenty of parking. I have a 10-car parking driveway. And actually, it's a private road anyway, so it's all to us anyways.
So tell us about that unit. Tell us how many square feet is that unit? What's the floor-to-ceiling height? If the utilities are separate from the unit?
So floor-to-ceiling height, we have like 7'9", almost an 8-footer there. We have 2 egresses. The only thing that needs to change though is, obviously going through all this, I'd have to pull electrical permits to put 2 panels in, to make it 2 panels. There's already 2 gas meters actually existing on the property.
And tell us about your parking.
Parking, I have
Why
a,
can't you accommodate the parking on site?
I can. That's,
can?
yeah, that's why I thought I was coming. I can. I have a driveway that's 10 cars,
Okay?
2 cars wide. My
10 cars.
driveway runs from one street to the other street.
Okay.
And then I also have parking in front of my home, which is a private road.
Okay, so tell me about the unit that's already there. How many bedrooms in that unit?
It's a 3-bedroom there right now. That's the upstairs.
And the second unit will be how many bedrooms?
It's just 1 bedroom.
It's a 1 bedroom?
Yes.
And how many square feet?
It's about 700, 750.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
I'm sorry?
Drawings are adequate. The letter of refusal advises you that because you have, utilities are within the same room, you'll have to do something about that.
Yes, yes. That's why I still have to go through like the building department, and I would pull permits to make sure everything's all set. Yes.
And Mr. Pisani, 2 means of egress, and how about the windows?
The drawings are silent to the sill heights, and there aren't any elevations. But that, ISD can pick that up later.
Okay.
I mean, window-wise, I was gonna put a window anyways on the driveway side, a larger window anyways, so that will take care, add an extra
No,
fire exit.
The issue is what's the sill height on the window?
The sill height right now is they're probably, I don't know, say 5.5 feet high.
So obviously, it has to become code compliant.
Yes, yes. I still have, that's why I was coming in, before I tried to do anything code compliant, come here.
How long has this unit been there?
I own a house now, my mother owned it, it's been there for at least 30 years, 40 years.
And
I
have you
mean,
been paying taxes on it for 30 years?
I paid taxes on it for all my years that I've owned it. My mother owned the house previously before to me.
No, I think the question is, are you paying taxes on a 2-family or a 1?
Oh, I'm paying on a 1 right now. So, obviously, gotta pay on a 2.
So what's the relationship between us, since I don't have the plans, so what's the relationship between the ground and the floor of the base? Is it, you go down to get in?
No, so there's on one side, on the exit, like the fire air would be up a set of stairs, it's like 6 steps. On the other side, it's ground level, goes right out to a driveway.
There's a walkout on the driveway side. Like, it looks like probably a 5-foot door, does it not? On the walkout on the driveway side?
Yeah, it walks right out.
Yeah, it's a pretty good size.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Warren O'Reilly, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We held an abutters meeting at the site, and they've visited with the local civic organization, long-standing members of the community, so we're here to speak in support.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Daniel Polanco, on behalf of Councilor Mark Siomo, would like to go on record in support as well.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Annabelle Gomes from the Brighton Austin Improvement Association. We voted to support this, and we just would like it to be compliant with the zoning codes and the window sizes. Thank you.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion for approval, no building code relief.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with that proviso.
Calling next case, calling BOA 777-065, 64 Lincoln Street. This is to amend plans to add a mesh screen to a billboard to shield the visibility of structural elements. There are no change in height, dimension, or orientation of the approved structure. The violation is Article 9, Section 9-1, extension, reconstruction, non-conforming use building. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Richard Lins, 245 Sumner Street, East Boston, on behalf of the petitioner. With me is Jonathan Serra for Boston Outdoor Ventures. Madam Chair, we're going to request deferral of this matter. We were not anticipating being here today. This meeting was put up actually relatively quickly. We know it's relatively minor relief that we're requesting. However, we do understand the BPDA is working on some regulations concerning billboards. Although this doesn't involve the construction of a new billboard, there was already an existing permit. We have agreed to defer with ONS relative to allowing BPDA to work through its rules and regulations for
May
billboards.
I have a motion, please?
Motion to defer.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The date, please?
We,
March, did we do the last one for March?
yeah, I think it was.
Or April, I think.
It was March 27th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
We can do March 27th.
It's fine.
Okay.
March 27th it is.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 714-280-66 Alston Street. Is Alston Street here? Okay. This is an addition of 2 residential units and renovation of an existing 2-family unit. Convert from 2 units to 4 units. The violation is Article 51, Section 8. Multifamily residential is forbidden use in the 2-family subdistrict. Article 51, Section 9. The entrance to the new units in the addition does not face the front lot line. Article 51, Section 9. The location of the addition of the lot lines do not meet the minimum lot width. Article 51, Section 9. Excessive FAR. Article 51, Section 9. Excessive number of stories. Only 2.5 stories are allowed. The area of the 3rd floor exceeds 50% of the area and the floor immediately below, creating a 3rd story. Article 51, Section 9. Insufficient front yard setback. The changes to convert the front porch create a front yard violation. Article 51, Section 9, insufficient side yard setback. The new addition and dormer creates a side yard violation. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Jim Chen, the architect is 730 Hancock Street, Quincy.
Hi, how are you? My name is Hen Chen. It's on the 66 Olsen Street.
Please tell us what you're proposing, and in your presentation, can you walk through your violations? Tell us what's required and what you're proposing.
Yes, so good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. We had a couple of meetings with the...
We don't want to hear about that. Right now, we want to hear what you're proposing and about the violations.
So we have changed the proposal since our last rejection letter to an extension of the existing 2-family. It's not no more 4 units. It's an addition of 2-family, about 600 square feet at the rear of the property.
So it's So it's an existing 2-family, and where is this 600 square feet going to? Unit 1 or Unit 2?
At both units.
So it's 300 per unit?
600 per unit.
600 per unit?
Yeah.
So tell us how many bedrooms that results in?
For the first unit, 4 bedrooms, and the second unit, 3 bedrooms. Total is 7 bedrooms.
Okay. And Mr. Bazzani has the most recent plans?
Yes, they passed them up.
Mr. Bazzani, is the front door still facing the front yard and et cetera?
Yes, it is.
So then most of these violations are removed then?
That's correct, except for the side yard setback.
Side yard setback is the only one. Okay. And how are the plans? Did I ask you that already?
The drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Warren O'Reilly, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. The updated plans, the second abutters meeting responded very well to the concerns of the first meeting, and the current proposals in front of you, we're very much in support. There were 12 members of the direct abutters, and they were in support and appreciated the work that they did. So thank you.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Daniel Polanco, on behalf of Councilor Mark Sion, would like to echo Mayor's Office comments and go ahead and support as well. Thank you.
Excuse me, could you go over the bedroom count again? I'm getting 8 bedrooms.
Hold on 1 minute, Ms. Bazzani. Let's hear from Annabelle. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Annabelle Gomes from the Brighton Austin Improvement Association. We voted to support this only in extended living. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Tony Disadoro representing the Alston Civic Association. I want to echo the views of the Mayor's Office as well. The revised plan is a huge improvement over the initial plan that was rejected by us. We're in full support of this revised plan.
Tony, welcome as the ACA rep.
So you substituted a dining room for one of the other bedrooms, right, on the second floor? You have 3 on the second floor.
3 on the second floor, I'm sorry, and an additional 1 bedroom on the 3rd floor. So a total of...
And nothing up in the attic? Because there's one up in the attic on the...
We're showing 1 bedroom up in the attic.
Right, so therefore it's a total of 8 bedrooms.
8, that's correct. I'm sorry, correct.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? So there's eight bedrooms?
Yes.
4 and 4, or?
Basically 4 and 4. The second floor, second unit is a duplex unit, second floor plus attic.
And they're decent-sized bedrooms?
So the bedrooms are fine.
Okay.
Just a number.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve with BPDA design review. Jeff?
Yes,
Yeah.
he's happy with that. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with that proviso. Okay?
Calling BOA 776-457, 96 Laurie Avenue. This is a paved driveway for one on residential lot for one car. Violations Article 10, Section 1, it's a 5-foot buffer. Article 56, Section 39, parking within a required front yard is not allowed. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Joseph B. Lichtblau representing the applicant, Laura Nolan.
So please tell us what's being proposed.
Yes, what's being proposed is off-street parking for one car, residential. I've handed out photographs, and I think the first photograph on the first page, at the top of the page, is probably the best picture. Shows you the house, shows you an existing driveway of the abutters next door, and the driveway, the proposed driveway, would go in right here. The violations are, this is in West Roxbury, which does allow off-street parking in a side yard, and most of this driveway is in the side yard. A very small portion of it happens to be in the front yard, but I believe you're allowed up to 10 feet in the front yard. There's only about 1 foot in the front yard. And the other violation is the it's supposed to have 5 feet of buffer here, and there's about, I think, 3.5 feet, but it'll be screened with shrubbery. There are also 3 other good reasons for allowing this. Number one, I'm informed that either everyone or almost everyone else on the street has a driveway, so there's a matter of fairness. Number two, the applicant is now parking here on Laurie Avenue, and unfortunately cars come off of Ledge Road and they speed, and it's a hazard. It's a problem. They're coming around this corner very quickly, and her car is here. That's the only place you can really put it.
But the question becomes then, if she's backing the car out, does she still face the same issues?
I do not believe so. I mean, backing a car out of any driveway, of course, there's some issues, but it's certainly better than having it out in the street all night and during the day. And the third problem is that the snow plows come around here, and the neighbors would like to see this. I'm informed the neighbors would like to see the car off the street to facilitate the plowing.
Okay, how are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? And this is a single-family dwelling.
That's correct.
Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
James McLaughlin, 88 Laurie Avenue, 2 houses down. I'm here to speak in favor of granting this appeal because each of us in turn has had to do this. The block was originally designed with an easement driveway behind it and hard spots in our backyards to park in, and I'm sure the first residents found out that was a bad idea the first time it snowed. So over the years, we've all put them in. I think out of fairness, Ms. Nolan ought to be allowed to do the same. It's going to improve snowplow access, and it's going to reduce the chance of her own car getting hit on that curve. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, John Allison, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. On behalf of Jack Duggan, we'd like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Shannon Murphy from City Councilor Matt O'Malley's office. The council would like to go on record in support of this project.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Bill McGregor. I'm a neighbor, a former abutter to Laura, and now I actually live down the street and just want to go on record in support.
Thank you.
I'm on 135 Laurie Ave now. I used to be at 92 Laurie Ave.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'm actually opposed.
You're all set. And we record that Mr. Galvin is in opposition.
Calling BOA 772-036, 1251 to 1269 River Street. Is River Street here? Well, we'll hold on to that one. Calling the next case. Calling BOA 716-297, 1403 to 1405 Dorchester Avenue. This is to demolish an existing building and erect a new 3-story mixed-use building. On the ground floor will be retail and commercial uses. On the upper floors will be 6 residential units. There will be a common room. The violations, Article 65, Section 41, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 65, Section 9, lot area for additional dwelling units is insufficient. Article 65, Section 9, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 65, Section 9, the usable open space is insufficient. Article 65, Section 9, the front yard is insufficient. Article 65, Section 9, the side yard is insufficient. And Article 65, Section 9, the rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Derek Small. I have an address of 15 Broad Street, Boston, Mass. 02109. With me today is Mr. Tam Nguyen, who's the owner of the property. Today we are here seeking relief to demolish the existing structure and erect a 3-story mixed-use building with retail on the first floor and 6 residential units above with 6 parking spaces. The zoning sub-district is multifamily residential, like local shopping, and the zoning violations are as follows. Off-street parking required is 9, we are proposing 6. FAR is 1, we are proposing 1.75. The open space is 400, we have 0. Front yard requirement is 5 feet. We're building right up to the lot line on Dorchester Avenue, along with the other properties that exist. Rear yard is 10. We have 0 because the parking is located in the rear. And the side yard is 10, and we have 0. We're going right up to the lot line. With regard to the community process, on June 12th, we had an abutters meeting sponsored by the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, in which a number of the businesses and residents came out and supported the project. And then on June 14th and November 8th, we met with the Freeport Adams Neighborhood Association, and we have a letter of support from them. And we have letters of support from a number of the abutters that we would like to submit for the record. I'll pause and take any questions from the board at this time.
Good presentation, Mr. Small. It's got to the point. So tell us about the units and the unit sizes.
The units are two-bedroom units, and the sizes range from 1,000 square feet to about 1,080 square feet.
And the roof deck?
The roof deck, was it 10 by 10? I think where the dimensions were 10 by 10 or 10 by 12.
Okay, and it's accessible to all
Yes.
residents?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and just tell us again how the parking works?
There are 6 parking spaces in the rear, we deeded parking, 1 per unit. And they're accessed on the left side of the building if you're facing the property.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board?
How many commercial? Is it one spot?
One commercial
So
retail
6
space.
units and 1 commercial?
That's correct.
Any other questions from the board?
9. We have 6. 1 deeded spot per unit.
And have you seen the BRA's recommendation? If you can look at it while we take testimony. Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chairman, members of the board, Kwa Fan from Neighborhood Services, we would like to go on record in support. We did have the abutters meeting. We have 1 or 2 concerns from the direct abutters, but overall, the consensus is pretty supportive for this project, and we also have the support from the local civic group. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Joe McEachran, City Councilor Frank Baker's office would like to go on record in support.
I am Him Ding Huang. My address 1411. I support this one. I support this project.
You're in support. Thank you. Is anybody here, thank you. Is anybody here in opposition? Please put your name and address on the record.
Good morning. My name is Niem. I'm one of the 4 owners of 1401 Rochester Ave, which is abutter to this project. And I have 4 points for the opposition for this project. We need the front yard and side yard setback. This will avoid blocking the view of our house from the Rochester Ave. And at the Adam and Freeport Association meeting, they concerned about the side setback will create a small part of the area, so that may create location for the bad people to hiding or something like that. Therefore, I would like them to have this driveway can be relocated to the outside than the other sides. So that's one of the concern I have. And then another concern I have that this project doesn't have a real yard setback, and I think that's very hazardous for the projects. And the third concern I have that the parking spot for the projects, because you know with the 7 units on that location will be not enough parking, and that will take the parking from the side street of the neighborhood. And the fourth, that we also concerned about the roof deck. It's too high, it will be blocked, totally block the view of our house. And you know, currently there's a legal 3-family there. And if you can look at the entrance of the 1401, it's only 12.5 feet. If they build the building right onto the property line and right on there, it's our house, just like a shed of this building. So I don't think that it will be look good for the neighborhood. So that's, thank you very much.
Thank you. Is anybody else to speak in opposition?
Good morning. My name is Tony Tran. I own 3 property in that area from 1391
So sorry, 1391
to 1399.
1399.
Yeah,
okay.
that's in 9 units, completely in Main Street.
Okay. And
My
go ahead.
concern is we keep talking about how look can make the street, Main Street in Dorchester look better. That's always say like that. But this project here is too much, too many units. I don't see any left and right side have 3 level units and second floor have 3 units. I don't see that from Columbia Road up to Ashman Station. This project is not going to mark for Main Street.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anybody else going to speak? Did somebody have a question? Hold on. Go ahead, Derek. Please respond.
No, I was gonna respond to a couple of the things that came up. I don't know. I know Mr. Fortune and Mr. Galvin are looking at it online. If you look at the property as it stands, it's set back probably about 15 to 20 feet. It's at an awkward angle. What we're proposing to do is, and it's a unsightly site on the Dorchester Avenue. We're simply trying to demolish that structure, bring it up to the floor, right up to the property line in the front with the other businesses and residents on Dorchester Avenue.
So you'll meet modal front yard in essence?
That is correct.
Okay.
And so when we had our meetings with Freeport Adams, the folks that are speaking in opposition were there. We talked about the setbacks and we talked about particularly the side yard and the rear setbacks. And one of the issues that came up at Freeport Adams was that they didn't want too big of a space between the properties because on a number of properties on Dorchester Ave already have those spaces in between businesses and residents, and they found that there's illegal activity going on in between. And the mayor's office can speak to this as well. When we spoke with Freeport Adams, they were concerned about that, so we eliminated the setbacks on those sides with regard to creating those spaces in between the properties where people can run and hide and all those types of things.
But what about your parking? If it's open like that, does it give people an area to do whatever they want to do during the day, perhaps, when there are fewer eyes on the street, or?
I don't think so. I think, obviously, we're going to have security cameras in the back and things like that around the parking. and we've pledged to do that as well. And I'm looking at the BRA's recommendation. We work with the BPDA with regard to working on the setbacks, both the front and the rear, to do what makes best, what works best for the city in moving and proceeding with the project.
Okay. Jeff, can you speak to the BPDA recommendation about the setbacks?
Sure, Mr. Ehrlich. On the side, there was on the plans that we reviewed upstairs, the one side of the building, I think it's maybe the right-hand side if you were to be looking at the proposal, it's a solid wall. There are no windows. And when you look at the internal, I'm not sure if these are new plans that are submitted today, but there's no windows at all on that right-hand side.
Is that because it's going to the property line? Is that why it's
I would imagine so,
windowless?
because you couldn't have a window on there. So, I mean, we could set back. Honestly, we had an issue whether it was almost 50-50 with denial without prejudice or aggressive design review. The thinking was we didn't want to get to an impasse. We came back here for BFA, and, you know, I think it's just one of those, if the board, you know, looks in favor.
Right now, on the right side of the building where there are no windows is a parking lot, right?
What's front of that parking?
No, but the lot next to.
That's a developable lot.
Right.
It is.
It's a developable lot, but there's nothing there now, so what
That was one of the issues that came up at the community meeting, was that the windows on that side, people were worried about privacy for the property that's set to the back, and the future proposal that may come or may not come on the parking lot site as well. So that was one of the issues. But we're open to working with BPDA with regard to design review and things of that nature to resolve those issues.
So two additional questions. One is there a handicapped unit in this building? And second, what's the access to that roof deck?
The access, I think, is a spiral stair through the main hallway, if I recall. Chan, correct me if I'm wrong. And the handicap unit, I think there was one on the first floor.
Is there room for a unit on the first floor? I don't know.
Or on the second floor.
So there's an elevator going up?
I don't think we have an elevator, though.
Okay, so we just need, you guys need to solve that.
We can.
But we are just red flagging that for you.
Okay.
Okay? Any other questions from the board? Is there a motion?
I do have another question. As everybody here knows, that's a very busy section of Dorchester Ave, okay? And that we do know that there's a lot of busy traffic at store 24 or 7-Eleven or whatever it is now, right? So I do think that people have made some suggestions that can be helpful. I do have a concern, if I look at the last page of these plans, Counselor, that looks like a head house to me. So I bring question to spiral staircase or straight walk up.
The interior staircase.
The last page, Mrs. Small.
The drawing shows an extension of the existing stair up to the roof. Take a look at the roof plan.
It's the last
Yep,
picture.
yep, I have it.
It exists. And is that a spiral staircase?
No, it's not.
Counselor.
No, and since this is for common use, I would argue that you
I don't have that on mine.
Yeah, you don't.
spiral stair.
I think it's the exterior.
Is that a spiral or is it a walk up?
No, it is not a spiral.
It's a walk-up.
Okay, so with all this information, may I have a motion, please?
I would make a motion to grant the zoning relief requested with aggressive BRA design review.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion
And
carries.
I
without
would
proviso.
like to add, just to make sure that they work closely with the neighbors. They're very, very tight in that area. As you can see, there's not much space between the way you guys talk about the building being twisted and turned. So we're going to take special consideration to work with these people to make sure that we're not impacting them negatively.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you.
We will continue to work with the neighbors
Thank
on
you.
that.
Okay. Next case.
Thank you.
Was there a motion? Yeah. Was there a second? And there was a vote, so we're all set.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 751-050, 63 Parker Hill Avenue. This is to expand the third floor dining room into an enclosed courtyard. Violation of Article 9, Section 1, extension of a non-conforming use is conditional. Name and address for the record, please.
Steve Calvin, Executive Director at 63 Parker Hill Ave.
Do you have the plans?
I don't have my construction supervisor supposed to meet me. He didn't. I thought the board had them.
We could have gone, so we called last week.
So let's hold off on you until your construction guy is here with the plans. Okay?
Okay.
Next case?
Calling the next case, calling BOA 740-7015, Alva Kittredge Park. This is a change Oxford back to its original use of a three-family dwelling and extend living space into the basement. Violations Article 50, Section 29, insufficient existing lot size for change of occupancy to 3 units. Article 50, Section 29, the extension of living space into the basement creates an excessive FAR. Article 50, Section 29, insufficient usable open space per dwelling unit. And Article 50, Section 43, insufficient off-street parking for the additional unit. Name and address for the record, please.
Sean Smith, 119 Hollingsworth Street, Boston, Mass.
So tell us what you're proposing.
We're proposing to put in a unit into the basement and to change it back to a three-family like it originally was.
When was it a three-family?
In 2010.
2010?
2010.
And was it assessed as a, were you paying taxes as a three-family?
Yeah, I purchased it as a three-family, but it was non-habitable. So then during the construction, to make it easier for my budget, I rolled it to a 2-unit since some of the framing was already done that way.
Okay. So there are a number of violations here. This is a row house, 2-family district. There are a number of violations here. Can you speak to each of them as to what's required and what you're proposing?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, when he purchased it, it was, I guess the previous owner had started, I guess, an illegal conversion, and he had started converting it to a 2-family. But I believe it was originally a 3-family.
Yeah, it's been a 3-family for many decades. But when I bought it, it was just there was no plumbing, no electricity, no walls or anything like that. He had just put in windows and a roof, and he had started some framing.
So tell us about that basement unit. How many square feet? How many bedrooms? Floor to ceiling height?
Yeah, it's two bedrooms. The floor to ceiling height is 8 feet, and the total square footage of the entire unit is about 690 square feet.
690 square feet, and the utilities are separate from the unit?
Yes.
Okay. How are the and tell us about the parking. That's a violation.
Yep. So currently I have 2 parking spots, and those are going to remain. I'm the only of my immediate neighbors that has on-site parking. So it's just me and my mother. It's our home, so we just park our cars there.
2 parking spots. How are you going to accommodate parking for the 3rd unit?
I don't foresee any plan of having additional parking since I'll most likely be moving down there, so I already just have that parking spot.
Well, you know, the relief goes with the building, not with the ownership, so just keep that in mind.
Okay.
How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
The drawings are adequate, but how many feet below grade is this basement unit?
It's about maybe about 3.5 feet.
Okay, what's the sill height on the windows for the bedrooms?
The sill height is about 42 inches.
Where you show the gas meter in the entrance to the to that unit, is that the gas meter for all the units?
No, just for this particular unit.
Where are the gas meters for the other units?
So currently the 2 gas meters are located underneath the main stoop in the front.
So if the unit is 3 feet below grade, and the sill height's 42 inches, the bottom of the window is about 6 inches above grade?
The bottom of the unit is, the bottom of the sill is about 6 inches above where the grade is. Because it's right on it, there's a sidewalk that runs right along the this side of the house.
So is this this the house that's at the corner of Highland?
Corner lot, yeah, of Highland Avenue and Alva Kittredge Park.
Was this, you said that this was originally a three-family?
Originally a three-family.
Was the tax as a three-family?
Yeah.
And
but then when I purchased it, then I started the paperwork to get a permit for construction, and then I just thought it was easier for my budget to just try to do a 2-unit because I didn't have the money at the time.
But no, I guess I'm asking something, has it always been taxed as a three-family?
Yes.
Okay, is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Joshua McFadden, Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services. I'd like to go on record in support of this project at this time. We had an on-site abutters meeting in which majority of the abutters and neighbors expressed their concerns. I know there was one abutter who had some apprehension here, but we'd like to go on record in support of this project at this time. Thank you.
I have a question. The other houses that are attached to you, are they three families?
Next door to me, I'm 5. Directly next door is number 6 to my right. That's a 3-family. Then next door to that is number 7. That's a 2-family. And then next to that is number 8, which is a 2-family. And then behind me is a 1-family. And then next to that is 3 condos. And those are my immediate. And then there's 2 3-family homes to the side of me.
Connected to how many units?
To just 5, 6, 7, 8.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, I'm 5, and then 6, 7, 8. Where
And it's split 50-50. Some are 3, the half are 3 and half are 2.
Yes.
Okay. Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
My name is Sandra Malloy. I'm the direct abutter to number 5, Alva Kittredge. My property is number 6, Alva Kittredge. I've owned it for almost 40 years, and I was the first to renovate these buildings. As I told Mr. McFadden, I'm not in opposition to Jonathan putting an apartment in the basement if this board deems that it's appropriate. My concerns are of health and safety. And I also wasn't informed of the meeting that took place on October the 26th until I received a text message that afternoon from Jonathan that said, "Hi, Sandra, this is Jonathan at 5 Alva Kittredge. I'm having an abutters meeting today at 6 in front of the house for work I want to do to my house back to a 3-unit building from a 2, building a new apartment in the basement. In case you can't make it today, no worries. If you have any questions, feel free to call me."
So, ma'am, tell us what your opposition, you said what is your opposition based on? You said health and safety?
Yes.
What specifically? And
the egress, I'm not understanding the egress windows. As I said, I might want to put an apartment in my basement, and if it's feasible for Jonathan to do it, well, I may want to also. So I'm not against this.
Okay.
But I've been there a long time, and I know. The code, the windows, I don't know if they meet code. Jonathan is going to live in that area, and I don't want anything to happen, and he can't get out of there for egress. So that's a concern for me. Also, the grade of the basement, it's 90% below ground. It's very deep, so you're going to have to dig very deep down to put those windows in. And I'm not sure what the frontage is going to look like, because these row houses were built in 1875, and they are historic. They're 142 years old. So I'm not opposed to it, but I know that we were held to very strict guidelines in terms of not changing the outside facade of the building. But if it's changed, it's okay with me. I'm not here to fight.
Okay.
But I have the adjoining wall, and
Okay.
whatever affects Jonathan is going to affect me.
That is true.
Okay.
Okay.
And the other thing, for the past 50-odd years, those ground floors in Jonathan's building, they were used as a dry cleaner. I grew up in that area. I used to play in those buildings. Mr. Crockett was a dry cleaner for years, and I know that, you know, the building, I'm just not sure about the soil down there, and I don't want things to be stirred up, and suddenly we have environmental issues. So I just want to make sure that all the environmental testing and appropriate things are done if he's granted permission to do this. Okay?
Could I ask additional question. You mentioned that there's only a 3-foot grade difference, but you have 9 risers from your basement floor out to grade. If we take 9 risers at 7 inches per riser, that gives you 63 inches, which means it's 5'3". So what is it?
Well, we're only 3 feet below grade. So the risers here, that's just
in the rear.
In the rear, yeah. It's not this many. It's not that many steps. This was already here. These windows are existing. These windows in the back. Jonathan's not putting new windows, and the windows in the front are there. We're just showing that we're gonna brick the patio and make it a solid patio in the back and a solid patio in the front, so that if you have to get out of those in emergency, you're stepping on a solid ground. These steps here, there's not 5 steps. There's only like maybe 4 steps in the back. It's not 9. It's just they're just showing stairs.
You're doing a discount from your architect then, because he gave you more risers.
Okay, yeah. He's just showing that there's stairs. That's what I'm just saying, that he's just showing that there's stairs there. But there's not 9 steps there.
Okay,
it's not that.
Hold on. So, ma'am, are you finished telling us about your concerns?
Yes, I didn't realize there was going to be a patio in the back, and the windows in the area in the back is pretty as deep as the area in the front. I just don't understand it, but whatever, as long as we have a 4-foot egress in the back to go across those buildings, because it's necessary for me to get into my building, I trust the board to make this decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So tell us about that common egress. Is there something in there that you need to preserve as open in the rear yard?
So currently there's sort of like a little common alley that's not specifically like owned by me. That's just everybody else has access to that. So that's to, if you're looking at the plans, that's at the very bottom. That's not on this drawing, but that's just public walkway. So that's not for me at all.
And you will not be intruding into it?
No. But I'm going to be planning to beautify it, but talk to the neighbors. Right now it's just kind of wild weeds and dirt, and I try to yank it and put weed killer on it, but I'd like to add it in and do some gravel or something like that and talk to the neighbors about that.
Again, without the benefit of the plans, is your primary means of access going to be through the rear?
So there's going to be 2 shown. There's going to be a walkway coming off the side of Highland Avenue, and then down a little bit, and then down a little bit to that door there, and then there's also going to be an entrance underneath the main entrance stoop. So it's going to be 2 front and back. That's already there. There's no official stairs, so the stairs will be officially built, but that space is already there.
The front entrance is
And
already
did the
there.
drawings show windows on Highland?
The drawings do not show windows on Highland.
No, that's just sidewalk there.
Well, but that raises an interesting question. Why not? I mean, it's a street. You have adequate fire separation distance. Why not just put windows?
The building just doesn't have any windows there, so we're just using the existing cutouts.
On the second and third, first or second floor, there's one window.
Right, on the upper levels do have windows on that side, yes.
Why, I mean,
it was designed in 1875 that way, so I don't want to mess with that, if it was originally there.
Any last questions? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve with. Motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second? Let's see, the BRA recommended approval with no building code relief.
Motion approved with no building code relief.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're all set with that proviso.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 746-997, 1002 to 1004 Tremont Street. This is Tremont Street Development LLC, who owns both 1008 and 1012 Tremont Street and 1002 to 1006 Tremont Street. Owner is proposing to combine and subdivide the 2 lots. Currently 1008, 1012 Tremont in Mission Hill is 2,397 square feet of land. Currently 1002 to 1006 Tremont in Mission Hill has 2,340 square feet. Owner is proposing as shown the subdivision plan of 1,554 square feet of land from 1002 to 1006 and grant 1008 to 1012 Tremont Street, the proposed new square footage of 1002, 1006 Tremont of 786 square feet. The proposed new square footage of 1008, 1012 Tremont will be 3,951 square feet. The violation, Article 9, Section 1, present structure on lot is non-conforming mixed use of 2F in restaurant and MFR subdistrict. Article 50, Section 26, insufficient remaining lot width. Article 50, Section 26, insufficient remaining lot are the existing structure of 4,000 square feet required. Article 50, Section 26, insufficient additional lot area per dwelling unit remaining. Article 50, Section 26, insufficient lot frontage width. Article 50, Section 26, excessive FAR. Article 50, Section 26, insufficient open space, 200 square feet unit is required. And Article 50, Section 29, insufficient side yard setback, 10 feet is the minimum. Name and address for the record, please.
I am attorney Cheryl Finari, and the address is 1002 to 104 Tremont, and it also involves 1008 to 1012 Tremont Street.
Doug Stefanov, 93 F Street.
So this goes, because we're only advertised to 1002 to 1004, but the address goes to 1012 Tremont?
Yes, the rejection, I submitted a alt permit for both premises, and the rejection letter was issued on just one of the permits for one part of it, as only one, I'm subdividing and combining the lots. My client owns both lots, and there's an existing building on 102 to 104 Tremont Street. A building
Tell us what the occupancy of that building is?
Currently it is a commercial pizza shop on the bottom, and there are tenants above the pizza shop.
And how many units?
I believe there is 2 additional units above the pizza shop.
Okay.
Right now there is already a building permit that was approved for the construction of the lot. There was an erect permit already given. At that time, a subdivision of the land was not requested. I'm merely cleaning the title and moving the property line over, so I'm not affecting any buildings, plans, or anything whatsoever. I'm merely moving the property line over, so that way one building will be on one lot and the new building will be on the second lot.
So tell us about the new building. Is that 1012?
Yes, that is 1012 Tremont Street. There is a current erect permit. It will have 2 commercial units on the bottom, and then there are 6 residential units up top. They're 2-bedroom units. It's 4 floors.
And is that as of right construction?
As of right now, it's being currently built, and there is a permit. I do have the permit number, if you would like the permit number for that.
So was it built as of right, or did it come to this board?
It came to this board. In 2013, all the variance approvals were made on that building project. It was land bought from the BRA.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
There aren't any. I mean, it's simply the subdivision. There are no building plans at all.
Correct.
So tell us about the 2 units at 1002, 1004.
What questions would you, the building has been pre-existing for quite some time now. There is a pizza shop on the bottom, and on top, yes?
Doug, can you respond to this? How many bedrooms and what's the square footage?
I'm a little new to the project. I don't know the existing building. I'm involved with the new construction. I've been pulled in as architect to CA work on the new construction at 108, 1012. I mean, it is an existing brick, mixed use. I've not been inside.
Who's the owner? Who actually owns
Tremont Street and Carmen Strosio, my client.
Yeah, okay, but who?
My apologies. Carmen Strosio. So Carmen Strosio owns both lots, and he owns the existing building as well.
So okay.
And the reason for this is what? I'm still trying to get we approved the building.
Yes.
Originally. It's under construction.
Yes.
And now you're back to what? Perfect the record because the...
Absolutely. In getting the construction loan financing, the bank wanted to make sure right now the new construction is going to be built on 2 lots. And so we're merely moving the property line over, so that way that if my client were to sell one building or the other, he wouldn't be having to have that legal issue at the time. So it's more for legal title. It's not to actually effectuate any difference or change in either one of the buildings.
Mr. Pisani, can you, how are the drawings? Because the drawing.
Again,
No,
Madam
we
Chair,
can't
the
work
ranking-
blank. Let's just put a motion for deferral. We need to understand what's going on.
Just briefly, I'm literally just moving the property line over,
I know,
and that's
but
all
you know,
that's happening.
but this triggers a whole number of violations, and we are responsible for understanding what this is, and you're responsible for telling us what the details on this. We can't work blank. We need drawings to understand what's going on with the existing lot, what's the proposed lot, and how the subdivision works.
Absolutely, I submitted a subdivision plan that does show the lot line changing. I have copies of.
Do you have copies?
I
And
do
Ms.
have
Pisani,
copies.
can you look at those?
And I submitted.
Can I ask you a question before, so it's currently under construction?
Yes,
Who is the contractor?
TerraTech. TerraTech Construction Company.
Paratech?
Yes, that is the name of the company.
Okay, in the meantime, get the plans up there. Doug, did you have a clarifying question?
Yeah, just to prepare. So what exactly would you like me to bring? You have documentation of the existing building and its layout?
Let's just see what these plans reveal.
This plan was submitted in person when I applied for the alteration permit.
Does the same ownership have another project under construction up the street, 1420?
We're not, that's not, nothing connected to this.
In the meantime, is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Joshua McFadden, Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services. I'd like to go on record in support. So a while ago, the applicant actually presented before the abutters and got the support of the abutters. We're supporting based on that contingent, and that's where we are at this point.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? Marie?
I'm still not clear what we're being asked to look at, because this is, this subdivision plan is for 1008 to 1012. Before us is 1002 and 1004.
They are right next to each other, so that plan has both properties on that plan. So they're literally neighbors. They're 102 to 104 is the existing building. It is proposed as Lot 2 on the plan in front of you. And then right next to it is
Lot 1.
Is Lot 1, and that is the new proposed, and that is where the new construction is being done.
So which is 1002 on Lot 1, or is it on proposed Lot 2?
2.
Okay, this is a...
Motion for deferral.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
When you
Aye.
come,
Yeah.
bring a set of the architectural plans. Yep. Draw in where the existing lines are, where you're moving it. Yep. And put the sign.
Hold
This
on.
plan, my
Hold on.
apologies, this
There's
plan
a
does
motion-
have...
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The date, please.
January 30th.
Okay, we'll see you January 30th at 11:30. Doug, you've been before us often enough to know what you need to explain it to the board. Okay, thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 767-700, 50 Malden Street. This is to change the occupancy to include restaurant with live entertainment not operating after 10:30 p.m. Violations Article 64, Section 15, restaurant with live entertainment not operating after 10:30, conditional use. Name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Rashi Monglick. I'm with McDermott, Quilty & Miller.
Robert Weintraub with the Southern Proper Restaurant.
Jason Cheek with Southern Proper Restaurant.
Being proposed?
Sure. Good morning, members of the board. My name is Rashi Monglick, as I stated. We are here to apply for a conditional use permit for live entertainment to be offered at Southern Proper. It would be offered, in the evenings as well as during brunch on weekends. The operator is experienced. He has experience in the industry, running restaurants at Select Oyster on Newberry, as well as a new restaurant in downtown Boston. And we do have support from the community. I've just provided letters from the Union Park Neighborhood Association showing support.
So is this an existing business in this location, or is this a new business? It's an existing business.
Existing business.
And tell us what kind of live entertainment this anticipates.
So it will be a 3-person band, no more than 3. That's it.
It'd be blues or jazz trio.
Okay. So trios. How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Faisal Sharif from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. The applicants did go through a community process when they were looking to permit the business originally, and live entertainment was one of the things that did come up. It happened during the spring. They did meet with and get the approval from the Union Park Neighborhood Association. We'd like to go on record in support.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 767-739, 76 Mount Pleasant Avenue. This is a built driveway for two vehicles. Violations Article 50, Section 43. The proposed area space is not large enough to accommodate 2 spaces and meet the minimum required parking space dimensions. Article 50, Section 43. For the spot that we partially in the side yard, no parking is permitted within 5 feet of the side lot line. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Loretta Bright. I'm
Can you please speak up a little bit? Thank you. Okay. Tell us what you're proposing.
I'm proposing to expand the space allowed for the driveway. I don't have a current driveway, and I had a plot plan made to show the spacing, which was 20.5.
Okay. And what's required, do you know?
All I have to do is have 4 feet of my existing, I have a deck in the back on the side, and they would take away 4 feet of the deck to make the driveway. The length would be 19.5 and the width would be 20.5. And there is a fence between my land and my abutter's land.
Okay. And is this a single-family dwelling?
Yes, it is.
And is there parking on that side of the street in front of your house? On-street parking?
On-street parking on the front and the side.
No, but is there street parking in front of your house?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
But I live on a corner, at the corner, and they have a sign that says no parking because sometimes the fire trucks come around the corner, so you can't park like right where my house is. They don't want you to park there because the fire trucks won't be able to make that wide turn.
You're in the corner of Vine and Mount Pleasant?
Yes, yes. So I need someplace to put my cars.
So this would be at the corner of Mount Pleasant and Vine? Is that where you're proposing the parking?
The parking would be on the side of my house, which is toward, the front of my house is on Mount Pleasant.
So your house is the brown house?
No, my house is the yellow color, the light color house.
Yeah. Oh, I see. So your parking would be on Vine Street?
Yes, it would be.
I see. Okay. Okay, so how are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
The drawings are adequate. The parking is actually to the rear of the house on Vine Street.
Yes.
Okay.
The distance from the corner of Mount Pleasant and Vine going back to the beginning of the curve would be 59 feet, almost 60 feet. The width of the parking is 20 feet. That accommodates 2 cars at 8.5 feet. The issue is it is only 19 feet deep, slightly less than the 20 feet required, but it's perfectly fine.
Okay. Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Joshua McFadden, Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services. I'd like to go on record in support of this project. The applicant presented before the Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association and seek the approval of her abutters as well. And we'd like to support her throughout this process.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Madam
You're
Chair,
all set. Good luck.
Madam Chair, before I go back to the two cases, I'm going to call the 1030s. Are there any withdrawals or deferrals for 1030? Okay. I'm going to call the case we went back to earlier, calling BOA 772-036, 1251 to 1269 River Street.
So are you going
This is-
ahead with your proposal?
This is the particular one.
Pardon?
You're going to move forward with your project?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a remove proviso from the previous and grant a proviso for the new takeout for the new owner. The violation of Article 6, Section 4, other protectional conditions are required. Name and address for the record, please. Name and address for the record, please. Your name and address for the record.
On behalf of the Sadiq Ahmad Khan, is my name.
Do we have somebody who can help us, Bill? You want to sit up there with him?
Please help us with this. Put your name and address on the record.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Brian Flynn with Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. He's speaking on behalf of Sadiq, who is the owner currently, and he's vacationing currently in Pakistan, so he couldn't make it today.
So tell us what's being proposed. And first, is he going ahead with it today on behalf of Mr. Ahmed? He is?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so tell us what's being proposed.
It's just the proviso for the takeout. That's basically it. And then, yeah. that's
What's
all.
the name of the restaurant?
New York Fried Chicken.
Okay. And this isn't one of those franchises that have been under scrutiny by the IRS? Well, regardless, okay. So, it's a serious issue. And so it's been there for a while?
Mm-hmm. And when I spoke to Sadiq, he's actually, the name is New Yorker Fried Chicken, so
Okay.
it's not misspoke.
Okay. And have they been in business here for a while?
Yes.
Okay.
Sadiq is a new owner. Yeah.
Okay, so please, if this goes through, make sure you coach him with the takeout provisos, okay?
Will do.
How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
Drawings are adequate.
Is there proposed exterior wall?
Not that anything is shown in the drawings.
Okay.
No change in signage?
Signs over here.
Yeah, the sign, yeah, as Sadiq said, it was going to be changed to New Yorker Fried
Okay.
Chicken. It was New York.
And is anybody here, is anybody here going to speak on behalf of this project and support? You're speaking in support?
I'm speaking in support. There was an abutters being held on November 9th with no opposition from the community.
Okay. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? So this was one of those businesses that, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long vacation. Okay. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
With the usual takeout language, did I
Yes.
hear? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set.
Is Parker Hill Avenue, the gentleman still here for Parker Hill Avenue? Madam Chair, just going to see if he's here.
So is nobody
Wanna
here
take a
for
5
Parker
minute?
Hill? Parker Hill? Is
Yeah, I'll
there-
just went out to see if he's...
And then we'll take a break.
You might as well take a break now.
Nobody here?
Okay.
May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'm going to call in for the record, calling BOA 751-050, 63 Parker Hill Avenue. I'm going to make a motion for denial without prejudice.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will break until, we'll take a 5-minute break and be back in our seats at 11:45. December 19th is back in session. Just a reminder, make sure your cell phones are off and any conversations are taken outside of the room. In conformance with the open meeting law, I'm informing you that this meeting is being live streamed. Mr. Fortune?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to call deferrals and withdrawals for 10:30 again in case someone was outside. Are there any deferrals or withdrawals for 10:30? Hearing none, we'll call the first case, calling BOA 764-493, 545 to 547 East 8th Street. East 8th Street here, okay. This is a change order from a store and two-family to a three-family, renovate all floors. Violations, Article 27S, Section 5, it's in the South Boston iPod applicability. Article 68, Section 8, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. And Article 68, Section 8, the usable open space is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Angelo Perina. The address is 545, 547 East 8th Street in South Boston.
Tell us what you're proposing.
We're proposing to convert a commercial storefront to a residential unit to complete a three-family residential.
Tell us the size of that commercial storefront.
It is about 1,200 square feet.
And how many bedrooms will that unit have?
It'll have four bedrooms, but we will be going to the basement as well. That'll make it a total of 1,700 square feet.
So 1,700 square feet, and tell us what the basement will be used for?
The basement will be used for a living space, one bathroom and a living space.
What does living space mean?
A living room.
A living room?
Yes.
Okay. And the floor-to-ceiling height in that basement?
It is approximately 9.5 feet.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Pizzani?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, John Allison, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go on record in support. We did have an on-site abutters meeting on this project, and there were no objections raised. I do want to acknowledge the proponent had tried to keep this a commercial space by putting a diner there, and that was met with a lot of opposition. So the residential unit is a welcome change. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Oh.
Is there going to be any exterior work? No, just some siding, sir.
Could use some exterior work.
Yeah, the front of the building was sided, and then the right side will be finished when we do this project. Doesn't need siding. Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling BOA 761-001, 542 East 6th Street. There are also building code BOA 761-000, 542 East 6th Street. This is interior renovation of all three units and add 3 baths, remodel kitchens, remove load-bearing wall on the three floors, and add an LVL for support. This is also to construct a new roof deck. Violations, Article 68, 27S-5, it's in the iPod applicability. Article 68, Section 29, roof structure restrictions. This is building code, Section 780 CMR 1021, number of exits and continuity. Section 1021.1, exits from stories. All spaces with each story shall have access to the minimum number of approved independent exits based on the occupant load of the story. Automatic sprinkler systems shall be provided in all work areas when required by Section 704.2 of this section. Fire alarm and detection systems complying with Section 704.4.1 and 704.4.3 shall be provided throughout the building in accordance with the International Building Code. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, John Hall, 542 East 6th Street. Good morning, Alvaro Lucena, 37 Jackson Street, Newton Center.
Okay, as is our usual procedure, can you please address the building code? A request for relief from the building code?
Yes, so we got a letter here from our engineer, an affidavit letter saying that the area of modification is less than a third of the building area. And then also we changed our plans to that the roof deck is only for the third floor.
So are those plans different from the ones that we
Yes,
have?
yeah.
And also, please, can you submit the letter to Mr. Pisani?
Yep. So basically, your position is that you comply.
Yes.
So therefore, building code relief is not required.
Yes.
Okay. So therefore, we deny building code relief.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Building code relief is hereby denied.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So please get to the request for zoning relief. Tell us what you're proposing.
We're opening up the kitchen and living area to make kind of an open floor concept, and adding a bathroom. And
Tell us about the roof deck.
the roof deck's going to be 220 square feet, and just a pretty standard roof deck.
And is it accessible to all units?
No, just the third floor.
Okay, and how's it accessed by?
By a back stairway that connects to a third floor.
So, okay. How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
The drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board?
Is the roof deck access to a hatch or a head house?
It's what would you describe that as? It's kind of one of those little it's kind of where the stairway's built up. You have a full door size.
The existing rear stairs have their own case, and they're connected directly to the roof deck.
Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, John Allison, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go on record in support. We did hold an on-site abutters meeting. We haven't received any opposition from any of the neighbors. Thank you.
Anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion for approval to grant the zoning relief. And Jeff, is this, you have control over the head house and
Design review so that we have
Design minimize the head house.
design reviews minimize headroom.
minimize or remove the head house.
Minimize the head house.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 759-952, 429 East 3rd Street. Is East 3rd Street here? This is to add 2 parking spaces on the rear of the lot using an agreed easement with the abutter at 427 East 3rd Street and 530 East Broadway. Violations, Article 68, Section 8. Usable open space is insufficient, and Article 68, Section 33, 68.33.5, off-street parking design. Name and address for the record, please.
Michael Rooney, 1120 Main Street, Hingham, Mass.
Tell us what's being proposed.
I'm sorry?
Tell us what's being proposed.
2 off-street parking spaces that will be accessed using an easement to the right of my property under an agreement with that abutter.
And has it been memorialized at?
That easement has not been memorialized yet. It's subject to approval of this board.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
The drawings are adequate. How many spaces will you have access to?
2 spaces.
And the spaces are numbered 1 through 7.
Okay, those are the spaces that are actually in the driveway. The spaces being proposed are behind my property at 429 East 3rd Street, perpendicular to the driveway.
So, and your spaces are 18 foot deep by 9.47, 9.5 feet wide.
And what's the occupancy of your building?
It's a 2-family.
Any other questions? Is anybody here to speak in support of this?
Madam Chair, members of the board, John Allison, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go on record in support. We did hold an abutters meeting. At that time, I think the only person that showed up wanted to see if she could rent the spaces. So we're in full support. Thank you.
Madam Chair, member of the board, Karen Foley, Councilor Asabi George's office. We echo the sentiments of the Mayor's office in support. Thank you.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set. Good luck.
Thank you. Calling next case, calling BOA 718-053, 20 Gillette Park. This is ancillary parking for 164 vehicles to support office use for Channel Center, lots 8 and 9. Violations Article 6, Section 3A, in a restricted parking district, additional conditions in restricted parking district. Name and address for the record, please.
So Alan Sheard with Gillette. We're 1 Gillette Park, Boston, Mass. So the reason for this...
Hold on 1 minute.
Okay.
Will you be speaking?
Okay.
Ken Fields, 4 Point Associates, 31 State Street, Boston.
So tell us what's being proposed.
Okay, so this is a conditional use, a renewal of a conditional use permit. We basically have employee parking that we want to share with the local businesses that we do not need to utilize.
So this is shared parking, and do you have a specific building, or is this generally open to the public?
No, this is, there are 2 clients, Gilbane and Cengage. Those are 2 businesses in the area, and those are our clients for.
Okay, and this is for renewal. How many times has it, do we renew it?
Madam
for
Chair,
2 years, or?
can I just clarify? I just want to make sure it's into the record. It was an issue June 1st of 2015, expired June 1st of 2017 for 2 years. We do have a letter here stating from April when they put the application in for renewal. So we do have that on record.
It expired in June.
It did.
It expired in June.
But they put it in April.
Okay. Mr. Fields, do you want to say anything?
We're just renewing something. There's no construction. These spaces have been there for 50 years. It's just that it's ancillary because we're supporting the 2 businesses at Channel Center. There is currently parking that's been displaced due to construction in the local area, and it supports the local business community.
What's the screening and buffering looking like?
So there's, the last time we were through the Board of Appeal, we had BRA design review, and we were required to put in some plantings and some artwork. The plantings were replanted this past fall because some of the trees had died. And the artwork is currently basically a screen sheath across the fence that's there. Some of the users are concerned that they can't see into it, so we would like to revisit that with the Boston Planning and Development Agency when we can.
Is the entrance to this parking off Binford Street or A Street?
It's on A Street.
And how many cars are proposed to be rented? Spaces?
164.
164.
I would like to add,
the total number of cars in your lot, how much?
in all those lots, I believe it's 2,200. I was going to add that one of the tenants is Gilbane. They're a construction firm. They tend to come in earlier and leave earlier than typical peak business hours.
Any other questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, John Allison, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record in support. The proponent has done community outreach primarily through the Fort Point Neighborhood Association for this renewal, and we are in support. Thank you.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion for approval, and is this for a
3 years.
3-year extension?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with that proviso. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Calling BOA 770-566, 242 West 5th Street. West 5th here? We'll hold that off to the side. Oh, you are here?
No,
All right, West 5th, we'll hold off to the side. Calling the next case, calling BOA 735-866-383 Commonwealth Avenue. Commonwealth Avenue here. We'll hold that one off to the side. Calling BOA 769-668-314 Newbury Street. We got a winner.
Yep.
This is change of occupancy from a 5 residential units, threading spa and takeout restaurant for 4 residential units and restaurant, garden level on the first floor. Construct 2-story rear addition with roof deck. Construct a new front patio with 12 outdoor seating. The violations, Article 13, Section 1. Floor to air ratio is excessive due to the proposed rear addition. Article 13, Section 1. Rear yard is insufficient due to the proposed rear addition. Article 32, Section 4, G-card applicability due to the extension of the structure, more than 50 square feet of the lot area. And Article 8, Section 7, outdoor seating is a forbidding use. Article 8, Section 7, restaurant is a conditional use. And Article 9, Section 1, it's an extension of a non-conforming use. Name and address for the record, please.
Thomas Trajkowski, Silverman Trajkowski Associates, architect.
Michael Serpa, 26 Swan Ave, East Boston.
Robert Weintraub, 776 Boylston Street.
So please tell us what's being proposed.
What is being proposed is the renovation of the front patio garden area to include outdoor seating for the restaurant use, as well as a rear extension on the building, an L bump out on the back of the building.
Tell us about the seating. How many seats?
The restaurant is proposed for 47 seats
And
inside
outdoors?
and 12 outdoors.
12 outdoors, okay. And tell us about the extension. How large is it?
The extension on the back of the building is about, it's 267 square feet per floor for a total of 535 square feet on 2 floors.
So your FAR is already, okay, seating,
So-
the restaurant use is conditional, okay. Christian, is Christian here?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Christian Simonelli, Groundwater Trust. At this time, I would just like to request a hold for signature. The plans are before Water and Sewer and are currently under review.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
Michael, are you moving from Rockford?
No.
This
would be a secondary concept, yeah. Close by.
Any other questions? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Giselle Guerrero with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, we would like to go on record in support, as mentioned above. He does have another location right around the corner, and it is a neighborhood favorite, or I would say. So this is also, they're just excited to have another location here on Newbury Street, and there has been no opposition from any of the abutters or anyone coming to my presence. I know that the Civic Association, Neighborhood Association of the Back Bay is standing behind me in support as well. So with that, we would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Elliot Laff from Neighborhood Association of Back Bay. They came to our licensing building use committee and described their use. They agreed to have a refrigerated indoor storage of trash, which is important to us. And we were talking just about the use, not about the FAR. And on that issue, we are not opposed.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to grant the relief requested. And this is a Back Bay sign.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set.
Just
And
a
we'll
hold-
hold for signature.
Thank you.
Thank you for reminding us.
Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you.
So, on the next case, BOA 762-098, 75 to 77 Dartmouth Street. This is the removal proviso for the petition only with takeout, no work to be done. A violation of Article 7, Section 4, change in the previous decision of the ZBA, other conditional provision. Name and address for the record, please.
Michael Corey of Madoff and Corey, 124 Washington Street, Suite 202, Foxborough, Mass. For the applicant.
So tell us what's being proposed.
In July, my client purchased an existing restaurant and coffee shop on the corner of Appleton Street and Dartmouth Street. As part of it, we applied for a common victualler license and a health department inspection. As part of that, I went to inspectional services, and they discovered that there was a variance given to the prior owner allowing for 9 outdoor seats. We are here, we applied, and were denied pending going before you, a transfer of those a transfer of that authority to maintain 9 outdoor seats in the name of the new buyer. She isn't looking to extend it. She isn't looking to move them. She just wants to operate the same.
Is the new buyer also doing takeout? Is this also a request
Yes.
for the takeout?
Exactly.
provisos?
Yes. They would buy the product inside and eat outside.
But
When-
does that takeout means somebody pops in and walks to their car and takes the product out?
Yes.
So this is also for takeout.
Yes.
What's the name of the business?
It's operating under Appleton Cafe, which was the same name as the seller's operation. The company that owns that trade name is Le Premier LLC, and the owner, the operator is Maya Hatcham. Thank you.
How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Faisa Sharif, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go on record in support. We did reach out to the Neighborhood Association regarding the removal of the proviso. The applicants are not looking to change the business in any way. This is a neighborhood coffee shop. They're just looking to keep the same patio chairs outside, and the neighborhood would like to keep the business the same way. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve
The usual
with the usual takeout language
and for the 9 outdoor seats.
and 9 outdoor seats.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set. Good luck.
Thanks very much.
Calling BOA 761-283, 1 Beacon Street. This is to erect 2 single-story additions for lobby space and 1 additional floor infill for the future tenant, shell only, for restaurant use in an existing 17,992 square foot legal existing non-conforming structure. The addition totaling approximately 8,850 square feet. Violations Article 45, Section 14, restaurant use on the newly proposed upper level. Article 9 is conditional. Article 9, Section 1, reconstruction, extension of a non-conforming building. And Article 45, Section 5, excessive FAR. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman and members of the board. My name is Rebecca Lee. I'm an attorney with Mintz Levin. To my left is Don Svoboda from the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company and Todd Dundon from Gensler, the architect for this project. 1 Beacon Street, as you know, is a 1970s office tower with over 1 million square feet of office use with some ground floor fitness and restaurant and other ancillary uses. These owners are joint venture of relatively recent vintage of ownership and are looking to upgrade the property, improve the lobby experience, and bring the building out to the street face on Tremont Street. We have some boards that Todd can show you, but essentially these are a small amount, 8,250 square feet total, square foot additions to the building on the Tremont and Beacon Street sides in order to provide a better lobby experience and more retail space on Tremont Street. So these are additions to a legal existing non-conforming building, again, to improve the experience and also to make it look more modern. And I'll let Don speak to anything else that we might want to say.
So is the request today just for the extension, or is it for the approval of restaurant use?
It's all 3.
For the approval of restaurant use?
Right. There are 3 different citations.
And would just be restaurant, would not be takeout?
Well, Article 45 has as a permitted use restaurant with takeout if it's accessory to the restaurant use. Then it has a separate category of conditional use of takeout restaurant. At this point, the leasing team is out there looking for a restaurant tenant. It's unclear which category it's going to fall into, and so the ISD plans examiner recommended that we get turned down for the restaurant with takeout use, or the takeout restaurant use, excuse me. Do you want to see where this
Do you have tenants in mind? You don't have tenants in mind yet?
Not signed up yet.
Yeah, not at this point, no.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Giselle Guerrero at the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record in support. We had them go before the Beacon Hill Civic Association, which is the closest civic kind of in their area. They're not really in a residential district, so it doesn't really abut any residents that would have any concerns. And Beacon Hill Civic Association has come forth in support, so we'd like to go on record in support.
Madam Chair, members of the Board of Minor Operators representing the Carpenters Union would like to go on record in support of this project. Thank you.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're all set. Good luck. Thank you.
Case calling BOA 759-482, 3 Pond Street Place. This is to confirm the occupancy as a one-family dwelling and also add a second-story addition and renovate. The violations, Article 32, Section 4. This is in G-Card applicability. Article 54, Section 10, excessive FAR. Article 54, Section 10, insufficient rear yard setback. Article 54, Section 18, the addition of 2 stories to total 5-story structure. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Ritu Posla from 3 Pond Street Place. I'm the owner, and this is my husband. I'm here with my husband, Stavros Tekalides, who also owns the building, and our land surveyor from Boston Survey, George Collins.
So tell us what's being proposed.
We're proposing to add a floor and a half, so 2 floors. Our current footprint in each floor is under 300 square feet. We have a 5-year-old single family. We lived in the North End for about 15 years, so we do need the additional space. We actually only had 1 bathroom as well, so this will give us a much more comfortable living quarters, and we would like to stay in the North End. We're part of the community.
Okay. Tell us about the roof deck.
It's just a half roof deck off of the addition, off of our master bedroom. So it's our master bedroom, a half room going into a small outdoor space.
Okay. Well, I think that's covered the violations. How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
Drawings are adequate.
And what's the total square footage of the addition?
It's about 500.
350
Yeah, it's about 500.
Totally, it's 500 square feet. Okay. Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Maria Lanza, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record and support. The applicant held an abutters meeting, which 2 abutters attended and saw no issues with the project. They also have the support of the North End Waterfront Neighborhood Council and the North End Waterfront Residents Association. Thank you.
Judy, will we be seeing you in the new year?
You might.
Okay, okay. We hope so. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? Did you get a letter from Water and Sewer on the G-Card? Nope, not yet?
No, we have nothing.
Okay. May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set. Good luck.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
59-869-308 Bunker Hill Street. This is to enlarge the head house, build a roof deck, build a rear deck. Violations, Article 62, Section 25, head house, access, and expansion. Article 62, Section 8, rear yard setback is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Patrick Mahoney of Adams and Moranci with the business address of 350 West Broadway. And with me is Enda Madigan, a client and owner of the property. This is for design. Sorry. Madam Chair, members of the board, we have a existing head house and a roof deck that's being added to where there was once one a couple of years ago. Additionally, there's a a deck coming off of the rear. There's an interior second means of egress already. The violations that we're seeking is restricted roof structure district, and that's because you're changing the existing profile of the roof by adding the roof deck, although once there before, it's been removed for more than 2 years. So that is one violation. The other violation is the rear yard, insufficient rear yard setback. 20 feet is required, and we have 14.1 feet proposed with this project.
Please back up and tell us exactly what's happening on this proposal. It's just to enlarge the head house and build a roof deck and a rear deck.
That's correct.
So the rear deck is what's causing that a rear yard violation.
That's correct.
And how large is that rear deck?
It's 10 feet by 15 feet, Madam Chair.
Okay. And the roof structure is what's the size of that?
It's 16 feet square.
16 square, and access is through a head house.
An existing head house.
And you're proposing to maintain that head house?
Yes.
Okay.
No, you're proposing to modify it.
Well, it's been modified to have the door, full swing door, but it's existing.
So is all this work done already?
No.
No. Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
I'm looking at A3, at the rear elevation, and it looks like the head house is being expanded fairly significantly.
4 feet in the front, it's being expanded.
And the height's going up?
Yeah.
2 feet for head clearance for the door.
There wasn't head clearance before?
It's a 5-foot door in there now, if you could duck it down.
6'8" is required.
So is that code?
Yes.
The height is code, is the width code?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah? How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board?
What was the size of the roof deck that was in use for a couple of years ago?
About 16 by 16.
So was that, that was an illegal roof deck then?
I don't know, I didn't.
There's nothing on the record that it went through any process then?
We didn't check, Madam Chair, and the reason why it's been gone for 2 years, so it would be required, we'd need to go through zoning.
Regardless.
Yeah,
Okay, so we're basically starting from zero then?
we are, yes.
Okay, so, and there is an opportunity for that head house to take another path then?
Well, it'd be required because the building is, it'd be required because of the top floor would be counted as a story. So it'd be 4 stories. That's correct, right? 4
And
stories.
and who would have access to that roof deck?
Just the top floor.
Just the unit 3.
Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Christopher Breen from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services would like to speak in support. The applicant completed their community process back on November 9th, in which one person attended and no major issues were discussed.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
A motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you.
Calling next case, calling BOA 767744, 134 High Street. This is to build a new roof deck with pressure-treated framing, composite decking, and 42-inch privacy wall and cable railings in the new skylight. Violations Article 62, Section 8. The rear yard step back is insufficient. We also have a companion case, BOA 767745, 134 High Street, for building code. This is Section 1009.113.1, roof access, where a stairway is provided to an occupied roof stair access must be performed through a penthouse. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Richard Shea, 134 High Street, Unit 3.
Jason Arnzepper, Architects, 118 South Street.
Okay, please, can you address the building code issue first?
Sure. The building code issue, we are building a roof deck on a existing building on the top of the 3rd floor. There is currently an existing roof hatch at the rear of the building. So we are proposing to utilize that existing roof hatch for access to the neighborhood.
And access to this roof deck is for one unit only or for?
Yes, it's a private.
So basically, it's an internal private stair that goes up to their own.
So this shows the skylight.
No, that's the access hatch, the existing access hatch. This is.
Mr. Pisani, did that address the building code issue from your perspective?
Yes.
So
we're going to grant building code relief for this. Again, the issue is that this is within a historic neighborhood. And it's restricted to one unit only. It's not building for building use. And I think that the reality is that the head houses do more visual harm than is warranted.
Okay, so there's a motion.
Motion to grant building code relief.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So please talk to us now about the merits of the case.
So currently, once again, we're trying to use the existing access hatch with the stair at the rear of the building. The zoning violation we're looking for relief is the rear yard setback, which this current hatch and stair occupies.
How large is that roof deck proposed?
It's approximately 200 square feet.
200, okay. And the plans are adequate, Mr. Pisani?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Christopher Breen from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services would like to speak in support. The applicant completed their community process back on November 13th, in which one neighbor attended. No major opposition. Thank you.
We also have a number of letters of support.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion for approval. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set. Good luck.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 775-971, 268 Bremen Street. This is demolish an existing single-family and erect a three-family dwelling with curb cut and garage parking. In violation to Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 53, Section 56, insufficient maneuvering. Article 53, Section 9, lot area is insufficient. Article 53, additional lot area is insufficient. Article 53, floor area ratio is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, building height is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, the building height is excessive in feet, other than stories. Article 53, Section 9, usable open space is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, side yard is insufficient. And Article 53, Section 9, rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Diane Modica, 24 Haines Street, East Boston, Massachusetts. And with me is the petitioner, my client, David Kelly, and the architect, Jason Arndt from Zephyr Architects.
Tell us briefly what's being proposed.
Well, as the notice stated, we are proposing to build a three-family structure in a three-family district. It will consist of 5 floors. It is in a flood zone, making it impossible to inhabit that ground floor, which will be used for parking. My client will live in that home with his wife and 2 children who are 9 and 10 years old. There will be parking in the ground floor with for 4 cars in a tandem configuration. And I'll let our architect sort of address that in a minute. But what I wanted to make sure that I got on the record was the fact that I really believe that this project achieves 4 major goals. One of it is that it creates much needed upgraded housing in East Boston with reasonable size units. Secondly, as a 3-family, it really maintains the density of the neighborhood. Thirdly, it supports the retention of a long-term East Boston resident. David grew up on this street. He will be living next door to his mother, his sister, and his brother. It It obviously provides a stable environment for those children and for the family, and really offers that kind of housing that we're looking to mix in with other types of housing that we are seeing created in Boston. And lastly, there was a hope with the development of the Bremen Street corridor, the Bremen Street Park, that it would foster the growth of new housing and renovated housing. If you walk down that street, you will see this most beautiful park, almost a mile long, which is anchored on one end by the YMCA, on the other, in the middle by the Airport T Station, which is a new station, and on the other end by the award-winning East Boston Library and the brand-new charter school, Excel Charter School. David will be in the midst of all of that right across the street, so the resources available to him and his children are really significant. So we believe that this project really achieves many, many goals that are in the interest of the neighborhood and the city. Lastly, we engaged in a significant community process over the course of 3 months. We had 4 meetings, 1 with the abutters and 3 with the Eagle Hill Civic Association. We received support from the Eagle Hill Civic Association, and I have filed with you today letters of support from the closest abutters, and we have heard of no opposition to this project. So we really urge the board to look carefully at this and approve it.
So, please, it looks like you've, the architect has summarized the violations that you're requesting, what's required and what's proposed. So this is a proposed 5 stories, 51 feet, and the required height is 3 stories. Okay, tell us about the size of each unit.
So the first 2 units are approximately 1,300 square feet, and then the top unit, which is actually 2 stories, is 1,100 per floor, so a total of 2,200 square feet. The first 2 units are 2+ bedrooms, and then the third unit will be 3+ bedrooms.
3+,
Yeah,
okay.
3+.
And tell us about the parking.
The parking, we're proposing 4 tandem spots on the ground floor. This would be providing parking for the tenants.
4 tandem.
Yes.
And what's required?
Required 3 for
Pardon?
the 1 per unit.
1 per unit?
Yes.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
Drawings are adequate. The question I have is, along this stretch of Bremen, what are your adjacent building heights?
So currently, the building to the left of us is a small, is it single family? Yeah, single family. Obviously, underutilizing the FAR. And to the right, we have a 3.5 story with a 3-story with a basement, half above ground to the right. There are, yes, and then there are a couple down the street. So 70 Bremen Street is actually a 6-story, very large building, and we have a number of them.
But that's many blocks away. What's the height of the library? Height of the library.
I don't know off the top of my head.
It's a 2-story building.
Yeah, it's rather high ceiling, so.
What's the height of the Excel school? Again, 2-story building.
I don't know. I don't know how off the top of my head.
Jeff, did the BRA, what's the BRA's recommendation?
Well,
It recommends denial because of the density.
yeah, just the height and the density. So,
And has this project been, this particular address been before us in the past?
Has this project been before you?
This address.
Oh, no.
You as an applicant been before us
For different projects.
for a different project? Where?
Well, the East Boston Social Center, he's a staff person there,
155 Meridian Street.
which is a business. I might add that, while, as you know, the flood zone imposes restrictions in terms of the design and height of a building, and it is really a question of trade-offs in many of these cases, as I have appeared before you previously. We could have basically just, we had no choice but to put it above that ground level, above the BFE, so we're using that for parking. On the other hand, if you really want family housing with 2 growing children, a boy and a girl, and it could change down the line, I think you have to accommodate the fact that, you need some reasonable square footage.
I just look at this and it looks like there are a lot of violations. And specifically, I'm looking at the additional lot area that's just basically insufficient. and the lot area per dwelling unit, that's also insufficient. So,
If I might, Madam Chair, the violations might seem substantial, but when you look at each one of them, you know, basically, I think there's a reasonable explanation for each one. As you know, the first 2 units are covered by the size of the lot. It's the additional unit that really requires another 1,000 square feet. So we're looking at 2,000 versus 3,000 square feet. You know, on the matter of the height, again, I mentioned the AE zone that they're in. The fact is that the FAR 2.6 is probably no greater than many other projects that have come before you in order to maintain reasonable size units. The park across the street, the Bremen Street Park, I mean, it's almost, you know, a mile long. I mean, there's more than adequate recreation space for people and rest space. And we've got decks on the building as well.
I think the point Ms. Kazani is getting to is that this does not feel contextual to the neighborhood. And I will just leave it at that. Any other questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Jesus Garcia from the Neighborhood Services. We would like to go in record on support of this project. During the community process, there was no many concerns about this proposal from the abutters, and Eagle Hill Civic Association also voted in support for this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? So may I have a motion, please?
Motion for denial without prejudice. It's excessive. I understand the arguments about meeting, but you could do it with 2 units. You could drop a whole floor off. And I just think the height is inappropriate for this location. There's higher heights down as you get closer to Banner on Bremen, but basically it's a flat zone.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
I'm opposed.
Motion does not carry. May I have another motion, please?
I would make a motion for approval with very aggressive DPE and design.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
And with a concentration on anything?
On height.
On height. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
Motion carries, but I too, for the record, I too am opposed. Motion carries.
May I ask what that, I didn't hear Mr. Ehrlich.
I'm
Yes.
concerned about the height and being conceptual.
So you can, in fact, relook at it and do significant changes to the building.
Well, but does that in fact mean actual height reduction?
That's not what
And
the
that's,
motion said.
okay, so we have a motion with attention to height. Let's move on to the next appeal.
Okay.
I'm
Calling-
sorry, this did pass.
Yes.
Did pass.
Calling VOA 755-603, 158H and 158 Cottage Street. This is a 288 square foot pressure treated roof deck exclusively for Unit 4. Violations Article 53, Section 52. A deck is greater than 12 feet in height off the main roof deck. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sean O'Donovan, 10 Tremont Street, on behalf of Mr. Frank Neris, the applicant.
Good, Sean.
Will you be speaking?
Sorry?
Will Mr. Donovan be speaking?
Mr. Neris will speak if the board would
Okay.
like him to. I just wanted to,
So please tell us what's being proposed.
we're proposing a 388-foot roof deck. Mr. Neris and his wife Megan, who's also present here, have exclusive right and use of the top of the roof of this building. That exclusivity is in your packet. We're hoping to seek your approval today for this roof deck. The configuration of the deck itself shows the railings going into the support of the deck going into the actual brick itself, so there'd be no load and no infiltration of the roof, the rubber roof itself. The existing head house that is there now is also the exclusive right of Mr. Neris and his wife Megan. We did have a neighborhood meeting at the property, and we had 2 meetings with the Grove Street Neighborhood Association. Their letter of approval, which was a 12-to-1 vote, is before you in your packet as well.
How many units in this building?
There's 8 units.
8 units, and this is only access to the top unit, and it's accessed by an existing head house.
Correct, which is...
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
Fine. Does this stair, in fact, go all the way through the building, all the way down?
No, sir. Access to that head house is exclusive through my unit.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Jesus Garcia from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. During the abutters meeting on October 3rd, the abutters who show up to the meeting, they were in strong support for this proposal, and also Gove Street Neighborhood Association voted in support for this project, so we would like to be in record on support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, it's 11:40. I'm going to ask for 11:30s. Are there any deferrals or withdrawals for 11:30? Hearing none, we'll go to the next case. Oh, address, please?
820 Morrissey Boulevard.
Okay. Let me call it in for the record. Calling BOA 613-478-820 William T. Morrissey Boulevard. Name and address for the record, please.
Justin Masterman on behalf of the proponent, 820 Morrissey Boulevard, Front Media LLC. This is we're asking for another deferral. We've been instructed by City Hall.
How many deferrals have you had?
This will be our third deferral. We've had 2 separate deferrals.
This will be a third, okay, and, okay. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve till March.
March 27th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The date?
March 27th.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other deferrals for 11:30? Hearing none, we'll go to the next case for 10:30. Oh, I'm sorry. Address, sir?
15 Woodson C.
You're going to defer it? You're deferring?
Yes.
Okay. For the record, calling BOA 683-450, 15 Wilson Street. Name and address for the record, please. You sit down. Are you going to defer it, or are you moving forward with your project?
Please put your name and address on the record.
Ernest Yaruis, and the architect is Cesar Hanson, but he's having stroke, and then I would like to postpone.
Okay.
So Mr. Hanson has had a stroke. Do you have a new architect?
And no.
Not yet?
Not yet.
How is he? Is he okay?
He's okay. He's on the way up right now.
Okay.
He's on what?
Rehab.
Rehab? Oh, we just saw him not so long ago. Sorry about that. Convey our best for his improvement. May I have a motion for deferral?
Motion to defer.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And what date?
We have a date of February 27th.
Will you have everything in place by then?
Yes.
Sure. Okay. We'll see you February 27th.
Thank you.
Okay. Go to the next case. Calling BOA 752. Oh, another deferral? We have to be standing.
Sorry about
Good,
that.
Josh.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Joshua McFadden, Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services. We'd like to request a deferral. The applicant actually called in and said that they could not make it today.
What's the address, Josh?
173 Humboldt.
Okay. I'm going to call it in for the record, so you already did your part. Calling BOA 617-813-173 Humboldt Avenue. So they're going to defer? Make a motion for deferral.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We'll also,
Couldn't make it in for what reason? Well, just make sure that they are here for the next time.
well, we're into
Okay.
February, so we'll do a date of
Thank
February
you.
27th. February 27th, John.
And please let the applicant should know that we are not predisposed to granting deferrals unless there's specific reasons. Just not that they didn't feel like coming in. Okay? Thank you.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'm being told by counsel we have another case that's being withdrawn or deferred? It's going to be withdrawn? Okay. Case BOA 616-257, 153 to 173 Nealon Street is being withdrawn, so I'll make a motion for denial without prejudice.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It's been withdrawn.
Okay. Calling the next case for 10:30. Calling BOA 752-314, 229 East Eagle Street. Erect a 4-unit residential dwelling. This violation is Article 53, Section 56. Off-street parking is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient additional lot area unit. Article 53, Section 9, excessive FAR. Article 53, Section 9, excessive height to include the number of stories. Article 53, Section 8, use is forbidden. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Richard Lins, 245 Sumner Street, East Boston, on behalf of the petitioner. To my right is Joseph Trujillo, who's the owner of the property. To his right, Tria Larea, who's the architect with Joy Street Design. Madam Chair, this is a proposal to erect a 4-unit residential dwelling in the Eagle Hill section of East Boston. It's presently a 3,125 square foot vacant lot. Based upon a very involved community process with the Eagle Hill Civic Association, Eagle Hill neighborhood, this originally was proposed as a 3-family with parking underneath. Based upon the design that we showed to the Eagle Hill Civic Association, they had made a request that we try to preserve some of the architecture that's here in the Eagle Hill neighborhood, including having the front stairs leading up to the upper level. As you can see from the context photos in the neighborhood.
So is this still going ahead as a 4-family?
As a 4-family,
It's still going ahead as a 4-family.
It was originally proposed as a 3. Before we filed with ISD, we had a conversation with the community, and I'll explain why we're at a 4.
So every piece of paperwork is correct?
That's correct.
Okay, cool.
So as part of that conversation with the neighborhood, where we were showing lower level parking, but as you can see from the context photos in the neighborhood, you have a number of triple deckers along that side of East Eagle Street, which have elevated foundations and stairwells leading up to the upper level. The context, or at least the original proposal, would have had the main entrance at the lower level, which would have looked out of context for the neighborhood. So we've gone back to the drawing board and went back to the neighborhood and asked them if they would consider supporting a 4-unit. We would eliminate the parking, and I know that sounds ironic for the East Boston neighborhood. They actually supported this design and this proposal over the original proposal. One of the reasons they looked at that was that this is an existing driveway. We would be replacing the curb cut if we eliminated the parking, so providing additional on-street parking that would be available.
But this is a separate lot.
It is a separate lot, separately
just used
assessed.
as parking.
That's correct.
Okay.
So there's no, we did the research on the building jackets, there is no attached zoning for ancillary parking. So although it has used for what I call convenience parking in the neighborhood, there is no required parking for any of the properties in the area. So this would, for all intents and purposes, be a vacant lot.
And that ground unit would be handicapped accessible?
That is correct. I know there is a building code issue. We are not requesting building code relief in consultation with the architect. We did a very similar project at 59 Putnam Street nearby. My understanding is the area that is not accessible has no amenities. The lower level unit does have all of the accessible features, and therefore will be a fully accessible unit for the building. There is no roof deck being proposed for the building, and all of the remaining areas of the building will be accessible to that level.
So what is the proposed height?
Proposed height, we have it at 39.9 feet. Again,
So it's the number of stories?
Oh, 4 stories total, yes.
Yeah. And the FAR?
Total FAR is 1.168. The 1.0 is the maximum allowed in 3F 2000 district.
How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
The drawings are adequate. How did you get around the accessibility again?
I can let Tria Larea explain the issue on the accessibility and why we don't believe we require any building code relief.
There's a side entrance leading directly into that first level unit. And the elevated stoop that leads to the other 3 units is private. There are no amenities off of that entrance.
Okay. Thank you.
Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Jesus Garcia from the Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services. During the community process, there was no opposition about this proposal, and also Eagle Hill Civic Association, they vote in support for this project, so we would like to be in support for this project. Thank you.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? Please come up, put your name and address on the record, and tell us, don't read to us, but tell us specifically what you're in opposition, what your opposition is based on. Come closer so we can hear you.
I am of East Boston. My name is Francesca Graziano. I was not notified of any of these hearings up to this time. I am a direct abutter.
What's your address again?
235 East Eagle Street.
Okay.
I am opposed to the height of the 4-story because all the other houses in the area are 3-story. The height looks funny, and it's a larger building than all of the others in the neighborhood. I understand there was parking there up to this time, and they're going to put back 2 spaces. However, if one of these 4 units are handicapped, one of those spaces will then be handicapped. So I'm looking at the parking loss. I also want to say there is an area in the front of my house adjacent to this property where they have put up a cinder block before under former owners, a cinder block wall, which caused more runoff onto my property and in my cellar. So anything that gets done there, I want to be sure that no runoff ends up in my cellar.
Thank you. Is anybody else here to speak in opposition? Can we get a response, please? Specifically on the runoff and mitigation?
Yes, Madam Chair, with respect to the runoff, I'm sure as this board's aware, any construction on the site requires a water and sewer permit. Handling of runoff and drainage all has to be done in accordance with the requirements and regulations of Boston Water and Sewer. I know sometimes people think this is ironic, but the development will actually improve the condition that's presently probably causing a problem with her property. Mr. Turquillo is an experienced builder in the neighborhood and is very familiar with dealing with those types of issues.
Can I suggest that after this hearing that you speak to the lady? May I have a motion, please?
That's the point. So on the ground floor unit, there's a side entrance, and is there also, where's the other second unit?
At the rear.
Rear.
May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the
Design.
BPDA design review.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you.
Calling BOA 735-385-227 Hobbs Street. This is erect a new 6-unit multifamily residential dwelling with 6 off-street parking and ground floor garage. Combine 2 lots into 1 lot to be 3,915 square feet. Violation Article 53, Section 8, multifamily dwelling is forbidden use. Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 53, Section 57.2, conformity with an existing building alignment. Article 53, Section 9, additional lot area is insufficient. Article 53, Section 9, the floor to area ratio is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, the building height is excessive in stories. Article 53, Section 9, the building height is excessive in feet. Article 53, Section 9, usable open space is insufficient. And Article 53, Section 9, the rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Richard Lindsay, 245 Sumner Street, East Boston, on behalf of the petitioner. With me is Doug Stefanoff Architects, the architect for the project. Madam Chair, as the Secretary indicated, this is a proposal to erect a 6-unit multifamily dwelling on an existing multiple vacant lots that would be combined for a total of 3,900 square feet. This is a 4-story structure, being largely in part due to the proposed parking, which would be at grade. This particular neighborhood, although not necessarily within the Eagle Hill Civic Association, participates through the Eagle Hill Civic Association for community process. We did have an opportunity to meet directly with the abutters as well as the Civic Association on multiple occasions. The number one issue they were concerned with was ensuring that we had at least 1 parking space per dwelling unit, which is what we can propose. The total
unit sizes range anywhere from 1,150 to 1,350 square feet. They're a mix of 2 and 3 bedroom units. There is no proposed roof deck proposed on the building, and as I indicated, there's a total of 6 parking spaces located at grade.
And what's the average size per unit, or the range of sizes for these units?
1,150 for the 2 bedrooms and 1,350 for the 3 bedrooms.
Okay. And then tell us how the parking's working.
What's the question?
Parking?
The parking is a parallel parking arrangement where there's a center aisle, and then cars have a little bit longer of a parking space to parallel park left and right.
Okay.
With one handicap spot, of course, and access to the elevator.
So if I'm looking at the proposed building, what's the window on the right-hand side?
That's part of the living room off the deck, the balcony.
Okay.
Yes.
So is that unit handicap accessible? And what's the size of that? Or
Well, all the units with the
Oh, there's
elevator are
elevators.
all
Okay.
accessible.
Okay.
There's not one particularly designated at this time, but any one could be.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Pisani?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Jesus Garcia from the Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services. During the community process, there was no strong position about this proposal. Therefore, we would like to be in support for this project. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Julia City Council, Sal Lamontine's office. The council wishes to go on record in support.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve with BPDA design review.
And Counselor, those that garage door. So, Jeff, see, just also pay attention to that.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, the garage door.
The garage door. If,
We want you to make it look as fit in with the
We
neighborhood.
want you to kind of not present a hard face like that.
My expectation, I know Matt Martin's design recommendation usually pulls that garage back maybe 4 feet so that it's inside, and not have enough of a clearance inside.
If you can, instruct the designers who come with you, just so that it's not something that we constantly have to red flag, that would be great. Okay? So we have a motion. Was there a second? And was there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set.
Madam Chair, I'm going to go back to 2 cases we called earlier. Calling BOA 770566, 242 West 5th Street. Are they here, the applicant? I'll make a motion for denial without prejudice.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
The next case, calling BOA 735-866, 383 Commonwealth Avenue. Are they here? Make a motion for denial without prejudice.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The last case of the day. The year. For rediscussions, calling BOA 763-012, 40 Coinston Road. This is to change occupancy from a 5-unit building to a 6-unit building and build out a new unit in the basement. Building code review has been deferred at this time. The violation is Article 15, Section 1, excessive FAR, 3.0 is the max, and Article 2, Section 2-1, the floor to area gross. Name and address for the record, please.
James Lesnick, 15 Everett Street, Jamaica Plain.
Did I just mishear something? Was this building code review, that's a standard language,
It's being
right?
deferred, yeah. Building code review has been deferred. I don't know why it was put there.
Is there a building code violation
No.
that comes with this case?
No, not at all.
No cited building code violation?
So let's make a motion.
Well, let's ignore it then, if
Okay.
there's no cited code violation. So tell us
There isn't.
what you're proposing, why you were deferred, and what's happened since the deferral.
Never saw it like that before.
Is this mixed up with some other property?
Is this Coinston Street?
Coniston?
Yes.
Coniston Road, Roslindale?
Yes.
Yeah?
It wasn't deferred, huh?
Sorry?
This wasn't deferred.
This is the
No.
first time.
Are you
we're
the
hearing it?
applicant?
Yeah, first time, yes.
Okay.
First time here.
There was a reschedule.
Oh, was there?
Well, whatever, just tell us what's being proposed, and
This is an application.
can you please speak up? I'm just having a hard time.
Yeah, you can actually
hearing
pull that up. It's on, you can actually pull it up and pull it forward if you'd like. It's got a long cord.
you. Recording, it's not amplifying.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
This is an application to make to add 150 square feet of habitable space to the basement. This is an existing single-family dwelling. My clients occupy the house with their 2 children, and their 2 parents live there also. There are no building code violations, no other zoning violations, except we're asking for to increase the FAR from approximately 0.51 to 0.54. The only exterior change is to add a stairs, a bulkhead stairs on the left side of the property.
So this is an existing single family.
Correct.
Stay a single family.
Correct.
It's extension to the basement. Is it extension to the basement
No,
or a separate unit in the basement?
It's not, the space is existing. This is just to make it legal, to legalize it.
And what's the use in the basement? What exactly? Is there a family room? Is there a bedroom? What is it in the basement?
It's not a bedroom, it's just a recreation area, and this connects the basement with the backyard to make it more usable.
Okay, and what's the floor to ceiling height?
Floor to ceiling height is 7'11".
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Bazzani?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, John Ellison, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. On behalf of Dan Murphy, we'd like to go on record in support. There was a lot of abutters support from letters and a petition, and in addition, there was support at a lightly attended community meeting. Thank you.
Is anybody else to speak in support? Is anybody here in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
I do have a question.
Oh, hold on, what's your question?
The front yard, was that permitted parking? The front of the house? Do you have 2 parking spots underneath the front of your house?
That's correct.
Okay. Was that permitted?
Yes.
Is that new construction, relatively new construction?
Relatively new for Boston standards. It was built in 2005.
Did that come through us to the Board of Appeal?
At the time of construction?
Yeah?
I'm not sure. I'm the second owner.
Okay. Actually, if I drive by them, it annoys me. That's what it is. So there's a motion for approval. Is there a motion?
Yes, there is a motion.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Last meeting for 2017 is now completed.